Hey, welcome into a solo edition of Tony Talks Trash About Music. Tonight I'm going to tackle that vinyl tag thing of 2025 that I've seen. I saw the Sad Bastard thing, and I just don't want to get that much into the sad situation too. And I looking at it, I thought, well, there's only so many of those ones I could answer. I really don't like to spend a lot of time in sad. Sad's something I try to avoid. Like everybody else, when you get old, you realize that it's really a frame of mind. And so what about 2024 for me, to start off where we go? Well, we started this channel, which was fun, and we're getting rolling on it here. We're just trying to decide, where we're going to go with it, how what we're really looking to do as far as growing it and stuff. I don't know that we want to grow it a whole lot, but at the same time, some of the people I admire, a lot of the people I admire on the vinyl community, a lot of them don't have real big uh, reaches, and most of them have reaches bigger than this, significantly bigger than this, but a lot of those, it seems like the bigger they are, the less they seem to be something that I'm interested in. Of course, Sea of Tranquility has always been one of my favorite, and Tastes Like Music, of course, really, really great. There's some other ones here. It's not my favorite one. I'm going to save my favorite one for number 20 here with this. But anyway, we're going to do this. We were going to do this as a group thing. I thought about doing this as a group thing, and this is such a long and kind of awkward thing. And what I think we're going to be doing is I'm going to have Joe put these up here, and then we're going to do this. So with that, let's commence on the vinyl tag 2025. And question number one. Okay, what's my best purchase of 2024, new or old? Well, you know something? I kind of view this as a tidal wave type of a thing. This is not, there's some new releases that I like this year, but I'm not the kind of guy that has the breadth of the listening that I get out and listen to everything. And go like I saw Joe the other day on Taste Like Music talk on Spotify about his stuff. I'm not that kind of a guy with this stuff. I have my things that I like, and I'm being persuaded. And one of the things that I was persuaded by my son to pick up this year is not a new record, but it opened me up, man. Yes, Tyler the Creator, Igor. I got this record probably, I don't know, sometime during the probably right after the halfway point of the year, and at my kid's urging. And I'll tell you what, even though I found it to be, in certain ways, and it turned me since then, I might I might add that I picked up the reissue of Wolf, and what's the name of this one here? Call Me if you get lost, which is very interesting. And they're both kind of different, but it's really opened my mind to something new. And I'm hoping, if I can, maybe to get back here with my kid and do something on this, and talk about maybe an old man being converted here. And I thank him so much. I love him so much, and we saw him on the video the other day, and so we may get together here as to see an old geezer discovers Tyler. So question number two: 50 years later, what's the best album from 1974? And I saw Pink Moon, and I saw some of these other ones that had been put up as like great ones. But when it comes down to it, man, I got one. Yes, it's Kimono My House by Sparks. It really, what a breakthrough. When this record came out, it completely changed their careers completely. And in England, it was a complete sensation. You had these people, I don't know if you've seen the concert footage from that time, but it was almost like a Bay City Rollers thing was adapted inside. And I mean, Russell could hardly get one word out, and he was swarmed by all these girls. But anyway, I just think pound for pound, the songs, the direction, and what I think the most exciting album is. I love Pink Moon too. Pink Moon would be up there too, but it's really a somber thing. And so my vote's with Sparks. Question number three: an album that defines a genre. Now, I was going to say Def Leppard, but I don't have any Def Leppard records. Def Leppard reminds me of like that hair metal band. I remember there were so many. I had a couple guys work at the record store I worked at in Rockville, Maryland, and they had girlfriends that were into all the big hair stuff, and they Def Leppard was like the ultimate for them. I'll never forget. I was out with my friend Owen one time and his girlfriend. I mean, maybe they're married now. I don't know where Owen is or if Owen will ever see this. Owen will ever see this, but and she was really into this, and I was kind of laughing at a Def Leppard thing, and she's just so into it. It's just such a pop meeting thing. But I'm not going to talk about that. Instead, I'm going to talk about the music that mesmerized the whole crowd, and you might see more of it later. I'm talking about REM Murmur. Yeah, man, this was the one. I mean, I thought about Reckoning too, but this really was the one. When you think about this, the mumbling situation, the jingle jangle, and there's so much was born from it. When you really look into it and you combine it to some of the Nashville influence to it too, which isn't too far from Athens, you really start to get a picture of how big that was. And it was really kind of a reintroduction of the Byrds sound into music. So I consider that a genre, and there could be no finer representation of it than Murmur. 4, best band from my home country. Well, there's I mean, come on. We're gonna have an argument about this. You know what the answer is, man. You know what my answer is. It's not even a contest. I mean, the greatest, man. I love him. I love him. I love Brian. You know from my videos that I've done before. So that's kind of an open and a shut deal here, man. Question number 5. An artist that I miss dearly. Well, I think I've expressed this before on one of my deals before, and I think I'll show that record that we neglected to leave out when we went through the deal. Which, and I really consider this to be probably the last best record, Sublingual Tab. I'm talking about Marky Smith. My God, I mean, you don't realize. I mean, everybody, the headlines of, yeah, he's drunk, and yeah, he did this, and he fired these people, and that's the headlines. But listen to the musical output, man. So many people fall for that stuff, and they think that, well, they can throw it in that bin and then forget about it. That's the easy way out. The hard way is to tune yourself in to the wide acceptance that it takes with the fall, and the wide acceptance of what the fall was. And you even look at this record. This record has Snazzy on it, which is great. It's got Fiber Book Troll, which is Facebook Troll, which Joe liked that one at one time. We used to laugh about that. And of course, the great Pledge. Oh my God. When the what is it? When the fees go to nearly full money, she says. It's just funny. He explains it all in the deal. But man, I miss him. I just miss his creativity. I miss his cantankerousness. I miss his winding people up. I mean, he's kind of like Johnny Rotten in a way that he deliberately says crap like conservative stuff just to piss people off. I think he's suspicious. Like I think somebody in the fall movie said it. He's cantankerous. He's suspicious of everyone. And we need a whole lot more of that now. We really miss it. And I love the guy, man. I'm one of the few Americans that probably did. I think what he said on the video had 4 or 5 fans, well, or 10 of them. Well, I certainly was one. So I miss you, Mark, every day, buddy. Next, best live album in my collection. Well, it's not just in my collection. It's the best live album in everybody's damn collection. It's Live at Leeds. It's the greatest live album ever made by anybody. Are you kidding me? The way this blew the doors off of everything, I mean, shaking all over. This is the nastiness of this. And just the way that Moon just butchers that ride cell when it was all over the place. And Daltrey just screaming, shivers down my backbone. Here we go, man. Here we go, buddy. Here we go. Here's the things on the backside. This is it, man. This is the greatest record from one of the greatest bands, and we're coming up with you guys tune back in here again because you're going to come back in. You know, when you get this record, you got all this Premier Talent stuff and all these inserts and all this stuff in it. That's part of the record, but I mean, come on, man. It's in the grooves, and the truth of it is, you know, when they expanded this thing, did I like it? Yeah, but I just like it. I like it simple. I'm not crazy about Magic Bus. My generation is a showstopper. But the first side, especially, man, Young Man Blues, Substitute, Summertime Blues, shaking it all over. Everybody else just go pack it away. Rolling Stones, everybody, pack it away, man. This is the greatest live record by anybody ever. And we don't do live records typically on my rating, but fabulous. Next, my partner just dumped me. What album am I putting on? Okay, I'll go. I'll bring it out, man. I mean, I guess you want me to do something depressed, but I don't know if your partner dumped you, especially after you've been married as long as I've married. I'd probably be pissed off, and I don't know if I'd be like somber, but I guess you want to know what's my favorite somber record, and I've already talked about it. Pink Moon, 1974, Nick Drake. Here's a box set that I have with the nice stuff inside. Incomparable, but if you're on the ledge, it's either this or tonight's the night, right? I mean, one or the other. So okay, next, best sounding drums on album. I really had to think about this because I've told you guys before, I don't make $1 million hits like when you see some of the products up there I've got made, but I've made five, six. This will be my sixth record we're getting ready to put out now, mixing, and drums is a big part of it. I remember that was a big leap for me between I was happy with the drum sound at a certain point before. Now we're able to get pretty decent drum sound. Certainly I can't do everything that they can at the big studios. I guess I could, but I don't have that equipment, nor do I have the place really to record where I could get those kind of natural effects that I really like to use. But I really think when you're talking about the best drums, and the best drums that I think of one person. I think of I dearly miss him too. I think about Chucky, Charlie Watts. And I'm thinking about the record Sticky Fingers here. This is the one, and yeah, it's something about it. I mean, you hear the drums on Sway. I think it's really really great. You hear the drums on Can't You Hear Me Knocking? Even the shit stomping on You Got to Move. I mean, it's just and I know there are better drum sounds, technically drum sounds than this. But I'm not really out for an ear from that. The most pleasing to me drums is Charlie Watts on fabulous drums, and it's also pretty good on yayos too. But yeah, I like this record. I'll put this back in the sleeve here later. But that's the best sounding drums for me. Number nine, my favorite artist who is a member of two or more bands. Now, I had to think about this for a little bit. There's some obvious, you got Ronnie Wood, maybe it's Stones. He used to play with Dylan too. Well, I'm going Dylan thing, and I'm talking about my favorite Vox organ player of all time, the fantastic Augie Meyer. Augie Meyer will be my person that plays in two or more bands, and the two bands that he played in were not only his own Western Head Music Company here, Augie Meyer, his own solo thing, as he looks at the horsey and smiles. It's something else, man. His record covers for his solo records are really an ordeal. I love to watch him too. But of course, he was in Sir Douglas with Doug Sahm, one of my heroes, man, which I'm a big collector of. And this is a stereo LP. This is very good. This is one I'm embarrassed. You see how much I paid for it there. But this is look at this with the fold opening here. I just love Doug Sahm. I love him. I love him, man. But anyway, Augie's on this one. And we'll do Doug Sahm later. I'll do a Doug Sahm thing. That's a good thought here. I just thought about that. He's somebody I haven't thought about putting on this yet, but he certainly deserves it. I'm a big fan of his. I remember I was up in Jerry's Records, and he put on the version of the record that Dylan was on, the Doug Sahm and band, and he put on Anybody Going to San Jose or whatever that song was. I was, oh my God, it was, and of course this one, which I think, in my opinion, is probably one of the best Bob Dylan records in a long period of time. I know they did this thing where they saw what he took some of the lyrics of that. Who gives a shit? I mean, if he paid off somebody, even if he paid off somebody, who cares? But you think about the song and everybody loves the one that won the Grammys Time Out of Mind before. But when you think about Mississippi, you think about Summer Days and the guitar playing between Charlie Sexton and And then you got Augie playing the keys, but I mean you've got Charlie Sexton and then the guy that played with Dylan for Larry Campbell back and forth. It's unbelievable, man. Lonesome Day Blues, Floater. Oh my God, those songs about the guy. What is he talking about? The Burns with the Bart, still on. I love that. I love he's talking about things are hard every day. It's just fantastic. This came out in a weird. It came out on 9/11, I think. I think it came out on the day of 9/11. You know, High Water's okay for Charlie Patton. Moonlight, Honest with Me. Poor boy. Oh my God. Oh my God. Uh, Sugar Baby too. You know, I have a good friend of mine here in town that just loves Sugar Baby. Just keep going now. I think it's underrated. Anyway, the whole focus of this was Augie, the great Augie Meyer, who played through the whole thing. Two great bands, two great records, solo career also. Also played in that Mexican band with the Tex-Mex band with Doug Sahm too. So actually was in three bands. Anyway, Augie Meyer. Okay, next I'm talking about the Beatles or the Stones. Well, you know this is interesting for me because when I grew up a huge Stones fan. Bought all the singles when I was a kid. You know, as soon as I could start buying them and started buying the records and really became enamored with them. And, you know, when I entered into playing music, that was kind of my specialty for a long time. We would do Stone songs because I could really sing them. Not so much ape and Mick, but kind of in the same, I could still get the same dicta and the rhythm, and a lot of people had trouble with him because, you know, they could sing it, but it didn't sound authentic. And I thought we kind of did, you know, we did everything from Get Off My Cloud all the way to the Undercover the Night and all kind of different things. I mean, I played in bands, but I mean, covering the whole spectrum. And I just used to. It's all over now. All those songs. I mean, it was great. But there came a time when the Beatles music was released on CD, and I really had a reappraisal at that point. I mean, even though I'd listened to Beatles before, I kind of was just dusted with Abbey Road, I think, and Abbey Road's one, and I guess you know Sergeant Pepper, of course, and you know some new ones. But I really didn't wasn't that heavily weighted into Revolver, which I adore now, and Rubber Soul, and some of the earlier stuff. And I started examining, and you compare the songs. There is a pecking order, and I respect that. And I'm you know my family listened to Beatles growing up. You know my kids, I made sure they listened to Beatles growing up. I became really Beatles and Stones. So I was in the Stones, and I love the Stones. I think they should have quit a few years ago playing personally, but that's just me talking. I did not like that Hackney Diamonds. But Beatles, man, hands down. Next, you found a bag of weed. What am I going to listen to? Well, it depends on what you know. Was it some of that bad Mexican stuff that gives you a headache? I mean, it depends on what kind of weed you're talking about. I guess I don't know, man. Hey, let's blow it out. Let's listen to Ascension, dude. Let's have fun. You know, it's all about feeling. It's all about sound. You got Marion Brown on here. I almost pulled out Marion's record on ESP, which I like a lot. Jimmy Garrison, Pharoah Sanders, Dewey Johnson, Elvin Jones. This is it, man. This is probably as wild to me as wild as it got. I mean, I know the some of the other ones are also out there, but this is in that realm, and this is what I would listen to next. An album from the 80s that I still listen to. Well, what am I going to say? I really have two records that I love from the 80s. And it's funny, if you look at that REM thing I'm talking about before, there's a direct thread and direct connect. One of them directly from Athens. Dung da 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 dum, bung da 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 dum, dung da 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 da. Yes, it's Love Tractor. I love this record. This ain't no outer spaceship. I tell you the truth, Chili Part 2. Are you kidding me? Small Town. I love this record. I love this record. Cartoon Kitties, Chili Part 2, nightclub scene. Oh, good day, I just flipped out, but this time I've gotten used to it. Da-da-da. I love it, man. My Mickey Mouse watch wears bye-bye, bye-bye. And I can't stand it. I love this record. I love it, and I think my kids like it too. Party Train, even the second side. Beetle Boots is good. Party Train's pretty good, but it's really that first side that I think that's killer. And while I'm at it, man, let me throw the other one in that fits. Let's Active, Big Plans for Everybody. Yes, this is very underrated record. This is Mitch Easter. Little Ways. He really gets his Led Zeppelin on in here. He's really got that Zeppelin sound and some of the guitar playing on writing the Book of Last, Play the Last Chance, that won't go wrong. It's almost like a 12 string. This is the version with no end. I love this record. I think this record is superb. So for somebody out there, Reflecting Pool, the one he just plays by himself, Still Dark Out, Whispering New. I love this record. I adore this record. This is by far my favorite Let's Active record. I remember when it came out, the people at the record store that I was the manager of used to get pissed because I used to play this all the time. And I guarantee you, of anybody on the East Coast in my store, I sold more of these from playing it. People heard it and said, "What is this?" Because he had some of the Led Zeppelin people's ear, because you could hear that Jimmy Page, that Jimmy Page sound, man. He nails it on that first side of those songs. This record is superb. And I know the band, it wasn't too long after that, I think they made one more and kind of went kaput. But Mitch Easter, responsible for the REM stuff, huge figure in music, and she should not be any down thought about his own music that he made, because that is as brilliant as REM. That is a fabulous record on IRS. Let's Active, Big Plans for Everybody. Okay, an artist whose political stance has soured me. Well, shouldn't I say? Yeah, he stoned me all right, man. I just, when all the vax stuff came out and stuff, I just wish. And he's an artist, I think, and we haven't rated those, and I'm going to maybe just do a selective thing of rating those. But I'll tell you, he's an artist that I think kind of in my opinion, ran out of steam. Like, the new record and some of the later ones, I thought the Avalon Sunset was brilliant. I thought that record was fabulous. And then after that, it just never really changed much. I mean, you had Poetics Champions compose all the stuff that he did before that. But musically, too, I kind of lost interest at the same time. But I really, Roger Waters is the obvious one. Everybody's going to say here. But in my opinion, it's Van the Man, who I've seen several times. Saw him with my father-in-law was a big fan. Actually, hung in there a little bit longer than me, but I think at this point he's also kind of, he saw one show. I think he told me about it in the city, where he was going on and on with that. Yeah, just going on all night. Did it again, did it, and it just went on and on and on and on. It was a bit much. He said he could tell he was drunk, and that's happened sometimes. What can you do? Okay, what's the favorite record label? Well, of course, my label, Wildflow Records. Of course it is. It's got all our records on it behind there. That's my favorite. I'm not going to show the label, but I guess if I'm going to do something for this outside of what I am, I'm going to and I'll show the one with the white label on it. Let's go with the SP this time. The SP's got everything cool on it, from the Fugs to Marion Brown to the some of the craziest stuff you've ever heard. I mean, this is the gods, everything. I mean, what a great label. I also like the label that I like Verve, and I like all these labels too. But there's not really. I'm not so much a label fan. I know people love the Vertigo. It's probably patterned after that Vertigo thing, and I imagine most people doing the vinyl tag will say that, since they're. But it's amazing how those mediocre records, just because they're Vertigos, now are worth a lot of money. But everybody wants to complete their collection. I get it. Like the Vinyl Hunters. Shout out to them. UK. Thanks, man. Yeah, that's it. ESP. We'll do ESP this for this. Next, a run of three great singles. Well, I don't have the singles here in front of me that I'm going to show you, but obviously, when you're talking about great singles, and I know I picked the Beatles over the Stones, but the Stones, man, the Stones were white hot. There was a period of time, I think 68 through 70, or 71, man, you could not touch the Stones, and nobody could. And I don't think even the hottest Beatles period, when you look at it, is as hot as that. Now, the quality of some of the stuff after It's Only Rock and Roll and stuff, I think, fell off from a mammoth thing to still good at times. I mean, you had decent songs, but and I guess there's a little bit of a clawback with some girls in that and Tattoo You, but I'm talking about this, man. I'm talking about this run, and I want somebody to try to tell me what's better, what was better than this. August 1968, Street Fighting Man. February 1969, Sympathy for the Devil. And July 1969, Honky Tonk Woman. And that's my case, Your Honor. Next, an RSD purchase that I actually consistently listen to. Well, I think I talked about this when I talked about the Skip Spence thing. I'm talking about this tribute to Skip Spence. I remember when this came out on CD, and I was very disappointed that it wasn't on there. But some of the great performances here. You've got Robert Plant doing Little Hands, which is really nice. Cripple Creek, Mark Lanigan. I mean, whose voice, if you know the original, whose voice is better suited for that? Alessandro Escovedo does Diana. I mean, they just went right down the record here. Weighted Down, Jay Farrar, Margaret Tigerrag, the Durocs. And you've got War and Peace with Mudhoney. But to me, Diesel Park West's version of All Come to Meet Her is the best thing. Robin Hitchcock, Broken Heart, fantastic. Tom Waits, Book of Moses. Greg Dooley, Dick Dixie Promenade, and you've got Little Hands by the Lips on here. You've actually got Skip Spence doing a song, but you got Halo of Gold, you know, the great song, the extra track that was done, put together by Beck. And I said before, and I think I said it wrong on his, it came out wrong, but Beck was the one that did, in his fan club, that did a complete cover of the record, I think. And I think it exists out there somewhere. I don't know if it's on vinyl, but I think that it exists. Lawrence of Euphoria, of course, by the Ophelius. Gray Afro, Flying Saucer Attack. Gray Afro's a trip. Like I told you, the longer I go, the better I like Gray Afro. But yeah, here's he sitting with, like, I don't know if that's his girl or wherever that came from. Maybe that was pre Orr, but yeah, it's this tribute to Orr, baby. Tribute to the Skip Spence album. More Orr. Listen to it a lot. Next, you can be reincarnated as any artist. I got a problem with this. I don't want to be somebody else. I really don't. Not that I think I'm great. I mean, it's not meant to be somebody else because, you don't know. The thing about taking on somebody else is you don't know what they're dealing with. I mean, you see the side that you see. If you want to be a great singer or have great talent or have great this, I don't want to give up myself to do that. And I don't mean to be egotistical, but if I could come back as one artist, who's it? Maybe it should be, the question should be instead, who do I admire most as artist? And I think I don't want to be him, but I think I love Todd Rundgren, and I liked Frank Zappa a lot too. Brian Wilson. Those would be the suspects probably. For me, would be those three. If you're looking for a place for me to, and of course, you got the great Stravinsky, the great classical composers, Penderecki. There's, and great jazz, John Coltrane, Miles Davis. I mean, I couldn't be them. I don't want that. And I think this question's kind of weird. So yeah, I don't want to be reincarnated. 18, best three lines in a song. Well, you're talking about poetry. You're talking about Dylan. And I don't know if this is three lines or whatever, but I'm talking about the lines from this song that say, "The priest wore black on the seventh day and sat stone faced while the building burned. I waited for you on the running boards by the site near the cypress tree while the springtime turned slowly in to autumn." I don't need to tell you what that's from. Idiot Wind, Bob Dylan, Blood on the Tracks. That's just one. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot of good lines, but that's one example. An album that I never tire of. Well, I've been on a crusade criticizing the Zappa Family Trust, criticizing Joe Travers for thinking he is Frank Zappa and thinks it's all about his releases that he can dig out of the archive. You know, it's funny, Frank lived during that period of time, had his own direction, had his own decisions, but we don't honor those first. We go ahead and put out our own records first. We don't put out on vinyl, uh, uh, Mega Jazz Noise here and the best band you never heard in your life. Instead, we put out the last one on vinyl now. I think somebody's britches have got too big, man. I really do. And I think it's just become a joke. And I wish somebody would step in and correct things. I don't mind Buffalo. I don't mind some of these new things. But for Christ's sake, release this on vinyl. You dweebs. What is wrong with you? This is one of the great works of any type of music in the last 200 to 200 years since the recorded vinyl, and you won't put it on vinyl. You put it on compact disc because it was on the Synclavier and it was this and that. Well, we saw the last one. We saw the last one here, Zappa for President, and I think it moved some. I don't think there's that many left over. I think you'd be surprised how many people just adore End Light, adore the fabulous song, like the fabulous banter back and forth. You can't tell me, you can't tell Reagan at Bitburg. Go through this. Navanex, Christmas Values, Buffalo Voice. I mean, religious superstition. I mean, come on, man. End Light, End Light, End Light, man. Talking End Light. Secular Humanism. I just think it's one of the great records of all time. Yes, it takes a lot of work to get through it. And in today's day and age, I understand the attention span may not be there to deal with the microtonality and to deal with some of the things of this. But you're talking about Dio Fa. You're talking about Dio Fa. You're talking about Beat the Reaper. I mean, this is a man who's had a lifetime of music, knowing he's dying, making his final statement. Now, when David Bowie did it, Black Star, I guess he released it, then he died. I'm sorry, guys. Anybody's with Todd Vega, all these people out there know that Frank worked on this for a much longer, multi times as long as any other project. And for it to be 2024, and there's no vinyl honoring this, and there's no promotion honoring this. There's no promotion honoring the magnitude of this release. It infuriates me. It does. This is a major part of the Zappa canon. And instead, we talk about Halloween masks and the clown aspect of that. Let's go back. Let's do some old Mothers Now stuff from the 60s, because that's what everybody wants, right? Well, this is what Frank wanted, okay? And this is what he did. So put it out on vinyl, please. This is an album that I never tire of. And I'm never going to tire of berating the ZFT until this thing gets released on vinyl. Sorry to leave everybody in such a pissed off thing. Obviously, I like my own channel, Wildflow, a whole lot, but I like the obvious ones that I've talked about. But I really want to send a spotlight here to one of my favorite guys, and a guy who's really on my wavelength. And I'm talking about Dom from Seeking a Thread, who is up in Ithaca College and does his radio show on web radio show for the WRFI Community Radio, Threading the Needle, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. every other Saturday. This guy, if it's offbeat, this guy's got it. He knows about it. A lot of the same stuff I love. He's talking about his Bubble Puppy. He's talking about his Red Crayola. He's talking about some of the acid archives, but I've learned a lot from this guy. This guy is great. And I would urge everybody to subscribe to him, because you're going to learn something from him. This guy knows his shit. So shout out to Dom. Love you, man. Keep doing what you're doing. And a shout out, of course, to the guys at Taste Like Music and to And to the great sea of tranquility. I mean, Pete Pardo. I mean, come on. Uh, Great stuff. And some of the other guys I love too. I'm not putting anybody else down, or by leaving them out. I'm sorry not to mention your name, but my pick for tonight is Seeking a Thread. And hats off to Dom, and thank you. And I want to thank everybody who has done the Vinyl Tag 2025. I'm going to try to check out everyone that I can. And I appreciate you guys watching our little fun trip here. And please do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you will, and we will catch you guys next time. And I'm doing this around the holiday, so this is probably going to show up late, but happy holidays to everybody. Merry Christmas. Uh, all that. All the best from West Virginia for you guys. And we may have another one of these come up later too, if we convince some of the other guys to do it too. Thanks, man. We'll see you guys next time.